breaking barriers and bridging the gaps between patients and doctors. Welcome to Brainstorming with the Docs and your co-hosts, Dr. Glenn Harrison and Dr. Kolby Condos.
All right, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Brainstorming with the Docs. I'm Dr. Kolby Condos, my co-host and co-conspirator, Dr. Glenn Harrison. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. I'm excited about this one because it's something that we don't really indulge in too much with regards to our conversations.
And that's right. And I think that it's something that we get asked about like very, very frequently in our clinics each and every day. Well, why can I get it from you when I can get it from Amazon? Well, I can get this one for cheaper. Well, we're going to break down today some things that you need to consider when you are buying supplements. If this is your first time listening or watching the podcast and you get value out of this content, please hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications because we are going to continue to roll out new content each and every Monday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you never know when we might bring some value to you. So without further ado, we're going to talk about supplements today.
Mm-hmm. So supplements, they are good, they're bad, they're ugly, they're all of the above. They can be a poison. I've seen it. Well, I know you've seen it, Dr. Kolby, many a times where it's making people sick when it's designed to try to improve something. So I think there's a lot of things to talk about supplements, but we're really just going to, kind of jump into what we look for, what we do, and how we screen the products that we're going to kind of put our name behind, our reputation behind, and our, introduce to our clients, not only to make them healthier or to try to help them in their health disorder, but to definitely not create more problems. So supplements, I think, are exciting and dangerous all at the same time. And, kind of to start off, I think I referenced that article with you that I came by. This was a while back where when we talk about not all supplements being created equal, it's a real deal, and there's lots of reasons for it. But I remember there was this article that I came up with, and it was they were trying to find quality of vitamin D, and this independent organization went to multiple different big block stores, and they wanted to see how potent the potency of the vitamin D that were in these big block stores, and it over-the-counter vitamin D was vastly different depending on the product and the store. They range from 135% to as low as 53% of the advertised dose on the bottle. And I remember when the FDA was analyzing the data, they were like, well, we're not too concerned about the lack of vitamin D in the supplement, but what's the remaining 47%?
Right.
What kind of fillers are there?
Mm-hmm.
So it really opened up a conversation. This was years ago, actually, when this article was, when the study was found or was designed. So it really kind of opened up the conversation of what is the quality of supplements out there, right?
Right. So yeah, I mean, that brings in, I can't remember when it was. I think it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. The FDA did kind of like a sting on some big blockchain companies as well, and they were testing a supplement. I can't remember exactly which one it was. I think it was maybe glucosamine chondroitin, and they found, and the labels on these supplements are like, oh, gluten-free, dairy-free, blah, 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 blah. And when the FDA did independent testing on these, the majority of the supplements actually were, for the most part, just flour, wheat flour.
Wow.
So it really does tell you that it's really important to investigate where you're buying it from. And we're going to talk to you about how we decide what we're going to use, and some of the parameters that we set within our clinics to make sure that we're providing quality products. So I think the biggest thing that we look for, and it kind of segues really, really well into what we just talked about, is we look at supplement companies that hire independent labs to come in and check for quality control. And what that means is they come in and they randomly sample a batch of supplements, and they test them, and they ensure that what's contained in that product is actually what's supposed to be in that product. And if there is actually some foreign matter or foreign particulate in there, they actually pull the whole batch of supplements as well as the batch before it, because they want to make sure that there's no contaminants in there. That's one thing that we look at. I also look at when I buy supplement, like where are they sourcing their ingredients from?
That's right. There's
No.
some companies that source from extremely toxic nations and countries with
Hmm.
soil that you couldn't even imagine, but it's the cheapest bidder. So some lower quality products, they just go to the table and they get the cheapest bidder who's going to deliver their ingredients.
So not only are you looking at that, but if the soil is that bad, what are they spraying on it to make it grow? Are they using a ton of fertilizer? Are they using pesticides? So that's something else we consider. I like to see supplement companies that grow and source uh, their own ingredients. I actually went and visited a supplement company when I was still in school, and they actually had their own farms where they grew their own products. That was really, really cool. And we got to go through the entire process. It was really interesting. It was a great opportunity. But I think that really ensuring that they know where where their ingredients are coming from, the conditions in which they're grown, and what is applied to those ingredients is a huge thing. Um, and then we also talk a little bit about like Prop 65,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a quality control measurement that was put in place in California. And it's kind of like the
California,
standard.
yeah, definitely has the most stringent standards. So that level of certification is recognized everywhere in the world.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
Um,
there's a lot of things, but and maybe something to note is for many people is the FDA doesn't regulate supplements.
no.
They try to screen, or they'll try to do a little bit of quality control, but it doesn't happen. There's just the odd headline where they're coming into these sting operations, but anybody and their cat could literally make a supplement, put whatever they want on the label and call it whatever they want, and it could be on the market.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Which is why the FDA is pushing for a little bit of more authority over regulating supplements, because they want to make sure that the public is safe. So another one that we get asked about frequently is like, well, if I just buy it off of Amazon, or if I buy it from here, and that's great. I love Amazon as much as the next guy, as much as you can, I guess, for something big like that. But I think that some things that you need to consider when you buy from an operation like that is a lot of these supplements are temperature dependent. So really, when they're designed to be stored in cooler environments, or they're designed to be within this range, and there's no guarantee that those supplements have been maintained at that specific temperature range when you buy them from a big warehouse. I mean, they could be sitting in a warehouse in Phoenix, Arizona, and hitting 130 degrees inside that warehouse. So that could impact the potency of those supplements.
Not only that though, but can you imagine if you were, I don't know, you were at the grocery store and you bought your favorite, I don't know, I don't know why I'm thinking this, bag of bagels. But you could get cheaper ones that were in a warehouse in San Diego roasting for a while. But when they came to your door, they weren't roasting. So we got to think of supplements as foods, because they are foods. They're subject
Yep.
to mold and fungus and all sorts of things. I remember this was a few years ago. They had this little vitamin kit, those little ones where you put your pills in, and some, and my eyes aren't that bad. So, but I know where my pills are. I'm not getting that old. So anyway, it fell on the floor. I guess it must have fell off the counter or whatever. And my dog quickly ran around it, sniffed it, and picked it up. And he was walking outside with it. I was like, that's weird. He realized that it was food. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they are food. Yeah.
They are food, and he doesn't understand what pills are. But if it smells like food, and he took it, and I guess he wanted to go and eat his vitamins outside. But if we think of it that way, it's a food. You would never risk just having your food stored any old place, right? Oh, can't hear you. I think your mic's off.
Sorry, I coughed a little bit. Yeah, I think so. I mean, really, that's a great analogy. Every supplement's made from a food intermediate or herb or something like that. So you need to make sure that they are stored in quality. So not only does it affect their potency, but they're actually like still good.
Yeah, and these higher quality products, not only they're dealing with storage and temperature control, sourcing, minimizing chemicals, third party, fourth party validation, quality control, but they have some pretty extensive tracking. And when I first got into the industry, I didn't realize that. And I remember I had a patient that, almost seemed like there was something wrong with the supplement. This lady took it and she had these adverse symptoms that supplements can do that if they're dosed wrong or something's wrong, but it just didn't add up. So I reached out to my rep with this one company, and they were like on the horn immediately. Needed to know the lot number. They needed to know the manufacturer. They needed to know all the data out of it, because they wanted to red flag it just in case, it could have been anything, but they take it that serious, and they needed all that information. So it definitely gives some, I don't know, some comfort and reassurance knowing that it's that stringent. And I don't think it should be anything other than that, because if we are constantly, if we're anything we put in our body that doesn't come from nature, if it's ever been tampered with, we should know that it's of the highest quality, because it could make us sick.
I agree with that 100%. I actually had an experience similar to this where I actually had like an insert that was in a bottle that was broken or for whatever reason. And I called my rep at the company that it was. And she's like, yes, that's a problem with the batch. We're going to refund you the money for the whole batch, and we're going to send you all new ones. And it wasn't even a problem with the supplement. It was actually just a defect in one of like the storage containers or like but they sent all new ones. So that tells you how seriously they take their product, versus if you call the company up from one of the big box stores and you're like, hey, there's something wrong with your supplement. They'll be like, oh, okay, go buy another one.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. So there's a lot more to supplements than just meets the eye. So we got to be very, very careful with it, especially if it's subject to mold and fungus. It's a food. You wouldn't want your food being stored, your perishable item being stored in a warehouse in, I don't know, southern Arizona or something like that. So we really got to take care of what we're putting into our bodies. And just because it's a supplement does not mean that it's just safe just because it's a supplement.
Or that it's a good one.
And that's not even talking about the effectiveness of trying to create a health improvement. We're just trying to talk about safety here, first and foremost.
Yep, absolutely.
It takes a whole nother level to actually have a therapeutic dose to be able to create a benefit. So there's some tracking components of it. And then another thing of it is the potency. So I know you're sneezing. Maybe you need some Histo-X.
Yeah, I do. I'm telling you, it's terrible. The allergies are terrible this year.
So maybe a little disclaimer you can touch on about the potency of professional formulas.
Yeah. So a lot of the supplements that we use actually require you to have what's called an NPI number, which is your provider identification number that verifies that you are actually a healthcare professional. And I'm a big fan of this because those supplements that require you to have an NPI number are potent, and they work very, very well. They can even work too well. So it's really important that if you're taking these really high quality supplements that you're doing so under the supervision of someone who's qualified, because you can have adverse reactions to supplements, whether they're too potent or it's the wrong thing or whatever. That's why it's really important to make sure that you're under the supervision of a qualified professional for sure.
That's right. They can be dangerous. I always tell people if they have any kind of vitamins or supplements at home, don't ignore how they can be extremely dangerous around kids. Keep them locked up, keep them far away, keep them with the over-the-counter pharmaceuticals if there are any. Keep them over there away from lots of little hands.
Right. Absolutely.
And if you're taking them, don't think more is always better.
Absolutely.
Never. You can't catch up. If you missed yesterday, don't think you're going to catch up.
Don't double it. Do not double it.
Yeah, because there is going to be problems. So I think this was an interesting one because hopefully we were able to boil it down. But be very careful of the quality of the products that you are looking for. I know, Dr. Kolby, I know you can give direction and supplementation. I know my website, people can, so they can find a lot of resources, and there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of research behind these products too. And I think that's very, very helpful when there's peer-reviewed research on the effectiveness of a certain product and what it's supposed to do. And most of these companies have that. Absolutely.
So if you guys have any questions or comments on supplements, or you have really anything, you guys can get a hold of us. Our email associated with the podcast is info@brainstormingwiththedocs.com. Dr. Glenn's website that he referenced before is www.drgharrison.com. Mine is www.northlakeschiropractic. You can leave a comment on the YouTube page, and we'll do our best to absolutely get back to you. And again, if you got value out of this information, stay tuned, hit notifications, hit like and subscribe, because we're going to keep rolling it out. So
that sounds good, Dr. Kolby.
I flubbed it up there a little bit, but I think
go have your Histo X.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Sounds good. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.